Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got some massive breaking news coming out from Microsoft. Now, this particular news, when I first heard about it, I had to verify it, right? Because it sounded like it was too good to be true. And I partially still I still believe that, right? That it's too good to be true what we are reading. But I'm going to break down exactly why I feel that way. But we have a headline here from the Daily Wire, and it says that Microsoft has laid off their DEI team, saying that it's no longer business critical or smart.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Now, I want you guys to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, just how massive this is coming from a company like Microsoft, right? Microsoft had a DEI program called Gaming for Everyone or something along those lines. They had a completely and utter psycho woman leading the charge in that particular little program. I wonder if that program has been affected by this, but still, Microsoft was all in with the DEI stuff for the last few years, which is why we would make fun of them, call them woke and all that stuff. But truthfully, they they heavily invested into it. I believe they invested $150 to $200 million into DEI alone, and that's what was big to them. Well, now apparently they have laid off their DEI team, and they don't think it's business critical or smart. So let's get into this article, guys, from the Daily Wire. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says Microsoft has laid off their diversity, equity, and inclusion team this year, with a team leader sending an email saying that the initiatives were no longer needed. Now, I've been saying this all the time, right? I literally, I don't even know how long now, 2 years, 2.5 years. I don't know. I've been saying for the longest that this DEI stuff, this is literally just by definition a grift, right? They don't believe in this shit. They don't actually care about the DEI stuff. They only cared about it if they felt like it was going to garner them more money and more profits. But what's happening is that they're realizing that that's not happening, right? That they're not getting more money. They're not getting more profits. If anything, it's costing them an insane amount of money just to upkeep these psychopaths that shouldn't be there in the first place, right? Most of these hires who are DEI hires, they should not be working at Microsoft at all. And the only reason they got this job is because they are a DEI hire. So now they're not deemed as necessary anymore. And I need these people to understand that your ideology will never matter to a corporation. You might think it does. They might trick you into believing that it does, but it doesn't. It only matters so long as they feel like they can profit off of it. The moment they realize they can't profit off of it, or even worse, the moment they realize they're losing money from it, after a while, they're gonna get rid of it. The email sent earlier this month and obtained by Business Insider is from an individual whose name has not been released. It says true systems change work associated with DEI programs everywhere are no longer business critical or smart as they were in 2020, said the email, which was sent to thousands of employees, according to Business Insider. Now, this is interesting because if you guys remember, 2020 was that year where all of this DEI nonsense truly started to take off, right? The grift started to go crazy. You started seeing all these consultancy firms start to open up more and more. DEI became the focal point and the main topic for essentially almost every single company out there, whether it's gaming, studios, movies, it didn't matter. Like every single company was talking about DEI. So mentioning 2020, I find that interesting because they truly believed in 2020, after the death of George Floyd and obviously the Summer of Love and all that nonsense, they truly believed that this was going to be it. Like DEI was going to be it, and they were having to do this in order to keep making money. Well, it looks like they have completely went the other direction. The email reportedly said the DEI team was eliminated due to changing business needs as of July 1st. Also, let's keep in mind really quick, ladies and gentlemen, the DEI team, they might have fired the DEI team, absolutely, right? But you guys got to understand their playbook and what they do. They might have fired the DEI team, but all they're doing is retreating right now to come back as something different in the future, right? We already know about Bridge and how Bridge literally connects everything, right? When you start looking into Bridge, you'll realize that a lot of these DEI teams, DEI programs, and all that stuff is simply just being closed down to be renamed or remade in the image of Bridge. That's all that's happening. I don't know if that's happening here with Microsoft, but I That's why I say sometimes it's too good to be true, because a story like this is extremely, extremely juicy, right? This is a juicy story. And these people normally would not want to give us the ammo to have a story like this. So you got to imagine that they're probably going to retreat now just to come back as something else later. In 2020, following the riots that broke out over the death of George Floyd, Microsoft was one of the many companies that pledged to spend millions of dollars to hire more people of color. In June of 2020, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella sent an email to employees saying that the company had committed to take action to help address racial injustice and inequity, and unequivocally believed that Black Lives Matter. And again, this is why the grift known as DEI consultancy became extremely popular, where right now we are dealing with DEI consultancy firms in literally almost every aspect of AAA gaming, ruining games left and right because they're grifting, man. You can't blame them. It's easy money, right? It's the easiest money they'll ever make in their life. They get government grant money. Some of them they don't even have to pay back, and they also get money from these companies that are convinced that they have to hire these DEI consultancy firms. The company promised to invest $150 million. Okay, I was close. Into diversity and inclusion, including doubling the number of Black and African American people managers, senior individual contributors, and senior leaders in the United States by 2025. Now, you got to imagine, what message does this send to the people who probably got hired or promoted into manager positions simply because they needed to reach a DEI quota? What kind of message does this send to them? Because now they're getting rid of the same program and the same team that essentially got them promoted or given the job in the first place. Without that DEI team, they probably would not have gotten that job. You know, it's a 50-50 shot, right? You know, it might have been you, or it might have been someone who probably wasn't Black. You know, there was probably other people who were better for the role that were not Black, right? Or he could have been the best for the role and he could have gotten the job, but we'll never know because he was given the job, or they were given the job because of DEI. 1 year after the pledge, the company released a progress report on racial equity initiative, which included spending millions to work on justice reform, including broadband access, increasing tech education for students as historically Black colleges, and K-12 computer programs, and funding tech support for Black-led nonprofits. Microsoft now appears to have retreated at least somewhat from those efforts, and it's not the only tech company to do so. Zoom laid off their DEI team earlier this year, saying that it would instead work with external consultants from now on. Bloomberg reported Google and Meta Facebook also cuts to DEI following their 2020 pledges. Because there's no money in this, man. That's the problem. Like, yeah, when you have all the money in the world, you can do whatever, right? Like, that's why Disney still has their DEI nonsense, because they have all the money in the world, right? Amazon is the same thing. This is why they can do whatever they want to do, because they got all the money in the world. But a lot of these other companies do not have all the money in the world. They might have a lot of money, but eventually what happens after a few years of just complete and utter garbage, you end up losing so much money that now you have to take a second look and admit that this DEI shit is not working out. There's no reason for it to exist other than the fact that you need to have some sort of proof that you're not racist. Why don't you just hire people based off their merit and stop being racist fucks? It's amazing that you actually need a program in order to hire Black people. Otherwise, what? You wouldn't hire them? It's ridiculous. What kind of sentiment does that even send out there in the public? Because when I see a company that has DEI programs, that's telling me inherently that you would not hire these people otherwise without the program. So it just tells me that you're extremely racist fucking people. But that's my own personal thought on this. So again, ladies and gentlemen, they're probably going to do what Zoom did, right? Zoom ended up laying off their DEI team, but they're just hiring DEI consultants from the outside when they need them. Instead of paying them a salary that they got to upkeep the entire year, they're just going to pay them one time whenever they actually need them and then move on from their lives. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.